live.
Okay. Hello, we are Uplift, FTC Uplift 18172, something like that. This is our third live stream. We're doing it with um, Hazmat Biohazards 10650, right? I got that right?
Yep.
Let's
Yeah.
go. I am good at this. All right, so my name's Alex. I'm one of the co-captains on FTC 18172.
And I'm Nitin. I'm not a co-captain, but I'm also on 18172. And I mostly do hardware. And do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure. I'm Jimmy. I'm the business lead on 10650.
I'm Fiona. I'm design and CAD lead.
I'm Lauren. I'm the mechanical lead.
And I'm the programming lead. And Aiden.
Sorry.
Very cool.
Nice. Alright.
All right, so Hazmat Robotics is kind of one of the veteran teams of Florida. There's two teams underneath Hazmat. This is one of them. If you'd like to give a brief history of your team, or just
Sure. So we were founded 6 years ago. We made it to states during Velocity Vortex, both teams 10650 and 9277. We made it to finals and super regionals during Relic Recovery.
And then 10650 has won Tesla League for 3 years in a row. And we were, like, Hazmat had third and fifth seeds at states last year. So
very cool.
Yeah.
All right. What would you guys like to talk about first?
Great.
We could talk about how we organize our team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
So,
we have like 2.5 divisions. We have engineering and business, and within engineering goes programming. So that's where the other half comes from. Sorry, Aiden.
You like it, huh?
Yeah. So we have 4 leads though. So we have the business lead, we have 2 engineering leads, we have the design and strategy lead and the assembly lead, and then we have the programming lead. We're organizing ourselves a little differently this year. Usually we just kind of wing it, like at practices, like this is what we're doing today, this is what we're doing the next day, so on. But now we have like a full schedule. So we meet at the beginning of the week, just us 4, to decide what we're going to do, tell everybody what we're going to do the next day, and then that way when we come in for practice on the day after that, we already know what we have to do and we can just get straight to work.
That's interesting. Okay, so with that, how do you guys really communicate amongst each other? Because I feel like that'd be pretty important for something like this to really work.
oh, you can go on.
You can go outside.
No, you can go.
Okay,
yeah.
so generally what we do is on Tuesdays. That's kind of like the connection of all the parts of the team. So we'll discuss what each part of the team is doing, and then we'll convey that down to the lower parts of our team.
Okay. Do you guys have any
Oh, sorry. This year, like, we're doing something kind of new where every Tuesday team leads get together and we decide, especially this year because everything's weird because of COVID. So we can't have all of our team members in person at practice. And so every Tuesday we get together and we decide, like, who's going to be in person and who's going to be participating via Zoom. And so then on Wednesday, we have a whole big Zoom session with all of our team members, and we basically tell people what the plan is for the week. Like, we plan what we're going to do on our practices, and then we kind of relay that information to all of our other team members so that we're all on the same page.
Okay. So how else have you guys adapted to COVID so far? Like, have you done anything to really prepare for this weird season?
Lots of hand sanitizer. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes, Devin always goes around and just gives us a squirt every few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
we
have
have.
Sorry.
Oh. Yeah, we're just making sure we're just social distancing, and only 10 people can be in the room at a time.
Yeah, and as much as possible, we're making it so not everybody has to be at practice. So if there's work that doesn't need to be done at school. We can just set people to do it at home and then look at them on Zoom and make sure they're doing it.
Okay. And you guys recently started doing meetings again, right? Because you guys usually meet at school.
Yes. So we met. For returning members, we met 2 Thursdays ago, and that was our first meeting. And then last Monday, we had most returning members that wanted to help out, assist the new people who were interested. And then again, last Thursday, we had just the team leads and the new people to help them figure out where they wanted to go coming into the season.
All right. And how many people are on your team currently?
Oh, currently there's 8 people on the team. It's a little awkward, but there's like 12 new recruits that we have to decide from.
Okay.
So we'll be a full team.
So how many people are in like the program, like in general?
23 as of right now, I think.
All right.
There's only like 30, I think.
Yeah, that'll be the cap. I don't know.
I was only
Last year we had like 28.
Yeah, as far as like FTC goes, it's around 23 or 24.
All right. Is there any like thing that you do between teams, like between biohazards and explosives? Like any communication, like ideas? That kind of thing?
Usually, like specifically for last week, we didn't really split into our own teams. We just kind of welcomed them into Hazmat, like in general, because we organize our teams roughly the same way. So we just thought it would be easier if we had each team's leading like a station together. And then we also do like outings sometimes, not so much this year because pandemic, but like last year, the explosives had some Lego event at this Ivanhoe Village like Christmas festival, and then I went to help out because I thought it would be cool, and then we got dinner after that. So
Also for fundraisers, both teams often like help together.
Yeah.
So at homecoming or in previous years, we would run a drink sale together. So.
All right, there's something. You guys also, I don't know if it's like have or like host, like there is an FLL team like underneath you guys, right?
yes.
So how does that work? I honestly don't know.
More or less they kind of are on their own, but we go to help them out with like building or like mentorship if they need it. Because they're in a different building than us, this year would be kind of difficult because they want us to like stay contained as much as possible, like within one room, so we don't have contact with too many outside people. But in the past, we would just go help out like every month or every 2 months just to see if they needed assistance with stuff.
Are there any like other big programs that you kind of like host or help with? There are a couple things that you guys do that I know of, I think. Like any big outreach kind of things?
We do Go Baby Go. So we work with the UCF, what's the word? Division or whatever of Go Baby Go. And so that's one of our main outreach events. And we do that every year. And so we all kind of get together and build these cars for children with mobile disabilities. And so that's a really big thing that we usually do.
Do you guys know how you like gained that contact? How you like found that outreach, I guess? Like, is there a way you'd recommend other teams to like look out for outreach events and like big programs like that to help with?
I think the way we discovered them was, so a lot of people that go to our school tend to go to UCF. I think we had a friend, like an alumni who was friends with, at the time, one of our seniors, like was part of the program at UCF. And then one of our seniors was like, hey, can we partner with you? Because, you know, this is right up our alley. Like we're building cars, we're wiring stuff. It's cool and helpful to the community. And they were like, yeah, sure. So I would recommend like contact alumni from your school, like wherever they end up going, see if like if it's nearby, see if they have any programs that could help the community that also tend to pertain to robotics.
Also, our FLL team, I know this is a little late, but our FLL team is run by a Hazmat alum.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
Okay. And do you have any questions?
No, not as of right now.
All right. You want to move on to a different topic?
Yeah.
I think that's good for organization and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing. You guys have like a decent history, right? Like you guys have a couple of years. You guys have had alumni and everything. So what's like the foundation that they've left behind? Like what can you like build off of?
I mean, every year, like all of the basically the seniors that are graduating always make sure that the people that are left on the team next year, like kind of have a good basis and foundation that like they kind of know how to continue on. And so whether that's by like training us or just kind of, I mean, even just throughout the season, like having, you know, ninth graders through 12th graders really just helps us learn from each other. And so just throughout the season, we all get a lot of experience and we learn from one another, and that really helps us be sustainable.
Do your graduating seniors leave like any like resources behind for the younger members to pick up from or learn from?
Task notebooks, first of all. Last year, Nick, our engineering director, he left behind an entire CAD library for everybody, but for us too. Corey left something behind. I don't know what he left though.
Corey left his legacy.
And his sister.
Okay. Speaking of CAD, how do you guys approach that? Like, how do you approach the design process in general?
So basically what we do is during kickoff, we all, like our whole team gets together, and after watching the game a few times and reading the game manual, we all discuss like drivetrain designs, and then after that, like designs for different mechanisms, and we do like the whole design matrix stuff. And basically after we all agree on like a pretty solid like idea or concept, we usually have like a couple people that sort of start to plan out the specifics, and we basically just start CADing like the general stuff, and we all like collaborate too. Like if they need help, they ask us, and we all give them ideas, and like we're all kind of like we all know what's going on like in the design and in the CAD, and so it's all kind of like, even though there's one or two people doing the actual CAD, we all basically work on it together.
You guys mentioned the design matrix. Could you explain what that is?
So basically, so for example, like if we want to focus on drivetrain, we'll have an Excel document and we list like different types of drivetrains. And then we have a vertical column of like different, basically things that like we want to achieve with that drivetrain. So for example, we have like which one would be fastest to build, or like which one would be more effective or more stable or reliable. And so we have all these different categories, and then we assign weights to those categories. So for example, if we think that reliability is more important than like the size of the mechanism, then we would like assign a higher weight to it. So then when we rate all of the ideas in all those different categories, we multiply by the weight, and then it kind of gives us a good overall like sense of which one is better, and it just helps us with our decision making.
All right. And what CAD program do you guys use?
We use Autodesk Inventor.
Okay.
Pretty popular one.
Yeah. Are there any designs that you're like pretty proud of that you like know from your team?
I would say our drivetrain last year I think was pretty good because it was pretty much all custom and it went really fast and we did have some issues. We did have
Zoom.
some issues with it, of course, because like when you have something that's all custom, like it's not going to work straight off the bat. And so we had to make some changes and adjustments. But I think in the end, our drivetrain was really like our foundation for pretty much everything we did because last year we focused on shuttling the stones to the other teams who would stack them. And so in order to be good at that, you have to have a really strong, fast drivetrain. And so I think that we were able to achieve that goal pretty well.
Okay. What else can we talk about? What about strategy? How do you guys plan out your strategy at the beginning of the year? So you said you look at the game reveal and then like talk it over, but what exactly do you guys usually focus on in that discussion?
Well, yeah, like what Fiona said, we use the design matrix that you talked about for like planning what we're going to do for our strategy, and then yeah, it's just basically what Fiona said, what we do for like planning out different things.
And also, like, we pay close attention to the amount of points that you get for like doing each task. And so we consider like, do we want to do this task or that task? Because you can't do all of them really. And so we kind of prioritize like, what do we want to focus on doing first? And then, like, for example, last year, the ultimate goal was to be able to stack, right? But first, you want to make sure that you have like a good drivetrain that can, you know, maybe you make a mechanism that can move the foundation because that's good early points like in the beginning of the season. And so your long-term goal might be to eventually stack, but you also have like these short-term goals that you can accomplish sooner so that when you go to the earlier meets, you can already start to build up those points.
That sounds good. All right. Is that about it for hardware? Nitin, this is like your thing.
Yeah,
Do you have
I know.
anything to talk about?
Not much that I can think. It'll probably come later on, but
Were there any like challenges with going with like more custom parts?
Yes. So Fiona and I last year. So our initial strategy was not to be a shuttle bot, like taking stones back and forth. Our initial strategy was to stack the stones, and so last year we designed a lift to do that. However, it was pretty hard. It was a great design, but it was all custom, and it caused some issues, being that we couldn't build it at all. It didn't work. So we spent around like 5 months trying to build this lift,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work, and it didn't work, and I don't think it will ever work. But that was kind of an all custom parts disaster thing. It's because it's really hard making them kind of fit together perfectly and do exactly what it's designed to do when you're CADing it. So.
Yeah. And like I think we kind of learned our lesson from that because like yes, custom can be good because it's really flexible, but it also just has to be so precise in order for it to work properly. And like you can't really, kind of like Lauren said, if it seems like it'll work well in the CAD, that doesn't necessarily mean it'll work well in real life. And so I think we kind of learned that the best combination would be to do like a little bit custom and then like some normal stuff so that you can kind of like personalize some stuff and then like have other stuff that's maybe like a little more reliable, and so it's just a good mix, I think.
Okay. I think that's close to what we're planning to do on Uplift.
yeah.
Use mostly commercial off-the-shelf parts, and then use the custom parts to provide the flexibility that we need in other places.
Like
Does that sound right, Nitin?
yeah, for like a drivetrain, for instance, maybe just like the outer plates, inner plates, stuff like that. But the rest of it, pretty much off the shelf. There's no, at least we felt that there was no real need to use another custom part besides like a drive plate, at least for the drivetrain. We'll see with this new season.
Shooter. We might need a bit of custom for that.
Just a little bit.
All
Oh
right.
yeah, what do you guys think the game is going to be this year?
I wanted to ask that too. So
We've got
one
shooting
big
for
thing
sure.
is, yeah, we thought shooting for sure because in the game manual they also changed the height limit
Yep.
of a shot. So we were just like, okay, that's kind of weird if that's not a shooter game. So
It's
we
a little
just-
suspicious first.
yeah.
Kind of sus.
I mean, it'll come out in a week.
Yeah.
Not much to wait
No,
anymore.
wait.
I mean, we haven't had a shooter since Velocity Vortex, so it
Yeah.
seems like
Back
it's
to the old days.
Florida has a bit of a reputation to keep with shooter games, so
yeah.
gotta maintain that.
Any other kind of challenges that you think will be besides shooting?
I saw a rumor on I think the FTC subreddit where that it's going to be another stacker game because the season was cut short and some
So they
other like
wanna-
So
also
Yeah, no,
like
you
the
finished-
scoring for shooter games is kind of hard generally. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, it's especially gonna be difficult to do that remotely.
Yeah.
Oh no, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Also, the whole thing with scoring is going to be really weird this year. You have to be like accountable for it, and just to take your word for it. I hope they change some stuff, like more grounded or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure they'll figure out a good way. I mean, this is an intelligent bunch, right?
I hope so.
All right.
We got a question from chat. What do you guys think will happen with Notebook?
Ooh. I think this year it won't be too different from the way we did things before because the notebook is largely like you can work on it at home. The only thing, the way we structure ourselves in terms of the notebook is like everyone helps out a little bit. So everyone writes about something each day. We take pictures. It should be pretty straightforward, I think. I think our notebook will be pretty good this year.
Do you guys know of the rumor that it's gonna be like a shortened, like engineering documentation,
Honestly, I feel like if anything, it might be longer.
much longer?
Long?
Yeah.
Interesting. I haven't heard that before.
Just because like everything's online now, so there's more stuff to like record and not actually see.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Makes sense. Are you guys gonna keep your documentation process mostly the same then?
Yeah.
Alright.
Do you guys want to explain your like notebook process a bit more? Because that's usually something that.
Sure. So our team, the other team more or less, but we split it into 3.5 sections, I think. So we got team bios, which is just stuff about each member. We have the engineering section, which is like design, what's the word? Like the cost of parts. And then we have the business section, which is like fundraising, outreach, sponsorships, which kind of goes into fundraising, I guess. And then the half is entries, because that kind of falls into all three of them. So usually two people will write about what they did at practice each day. We like to have like one person from the business side and one person from the engineering side talk about it. So we write like a couple word or like a paragraph-ish about what we did that day, how it's going to help us, stuff like that. And then that fills up like a pretty good chunk of the notebook, and it adds character to the notebook.
Is there anything that you guys like to focus on during the notebook?
Whatever big outreach event we're doing that year, and then also whatever big project we have on the robot. So like 2 years ago during Rover Ruckus, the linear actuator was like a huge part of it. So we focused on that. Last year, we had the lift, which didn't really happen, but that's fine. And usually we focus a lot on, like I said, the big outreach event, which tends to be Go Baby Go.
If we can switch topics a little bit into the other half of the robot, how do you guys usually structure your softwares and stuff? You know?
Okay. So in previous years, we've done like a subsystem sort of design.
Mhm.
So you'd have like a drive subsystem, like a mechanism subsystem, and they'd all run in different threads.
Okay.
But we're gonna be trying something new this year. We don't know how this will turn out, so we might go back to it. But it'll basically just be like a list of commands that run on like a set progress that you're at, and you can like have a bunch of inputs, and it all just like calculates what the robot should do from there.
Great. What else do I want to talk about? Is there any like big automation things, anything like special that you do with your code?
Well, we had some interesting Skystone Vision stuff last year.
Okay.
So we had an intake, and some of the things that we did is we would like identify where the stone is, and then spin the intake up and just like drive at it until like correcting it. So
Okay. I tried to
it's
do that
basically
with
just like removing human error.
Did you guys? Which softwares are there to do that? Which vision software did you use to do the
We used
translation?
OpenCV.
Use OpenCV. Okay. How much success did you have with that? Like, did it work pretty well?
Yeah, it worked pretty well. Yeah. We generally didn't have problem. We never had a problem in competition with our vision.
Okay.
So that's generally a good thing.
Is there anything you'd like to do with your software?
I guess kind of like the goal is to make it where, at least in Teleop, there wouldn't be any human error issues. So like, the robot was kind of smarter than the drivers in what to do.
Okay. It says, okay, one thing from like the list of topics that we were going to talk about, you guys put like simulator in there? Is that something that you're working on?
Yeah, so we got a base of a simulator from Team Beta, and then we
Okay.
just did some things to edit it, like add another joystick to it, and then make it so we could directly download it to our robot from the simulator.
That is cool.
So
Yeah.
that means like people that are away from the robot or just like in the same room, they can all be testing autonomy at the same time.
Mhm.
So that's nice.
Oh yeah, it's the one. Yeah, yeah. I remember it now. We have a couple questions from
Yeah.
the chat.
So one question was, what's the project that you've been the most proud of? Doesn't have to be robot, anything.
We've done a lot of fundraising. So between the homecoming drink sale, sponsorships in general, even outreach that doesn't involve fundraising, that's a huge part of what we do. We like giving back to the community, especially if it's STEM related. That's pretty cool. So yeah.
And we have another question from someone who's interested in your software. Do you guys have your own library, or do you just use the normal op modes provided by First?
So this upcoming year, it's we're using the normal uploads provided by First and then like edited,
Okay.
so it can like run several things at once, kind of separately, but kind of together.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
said
really
you
sure how
use
you explain that.
threads. Have you had
Oh.
issues with that? Because that's like difficult.
They worked.
They worked?
But Java and it
That's
this
good.
upcoming year we kind of moved away from them, and this might be a mistake, but we'll see that later on. But Java does its own threading in itself, so it might work without it. We'll see.
Okay. Corey asks, what have you done with recruitment this season?
Say that again.
What have you done with recruitment this season?
this year, we kind of, because of COVID, it was kind of harder because normally we would go to our middle school and we would give them like a presentation and we would just put a lot more sort of advertising around our school. But this year, since we couldn't do a lot of that, we basically just let people who are interested reach out to us, which was actually quite a few people. Like we said, we had around 12 people who are really interested this year. And so there really wasn't a whole lot we could do this year, unfortunately. But I think we got a lot of people who are interested and who are really passionate about being on the team.
That's good. And then we have another question of, are you running on different threads? Which I think you answered with yes, right? Oh no. And then do you guys use the scheduler class? I don't remember the scheduler class. It's been a while. I think that was for you, Aiden. You're currently muted.
So, I was trying to think of an answer. I don't think we are using the scheduler class. It doesn't sound familiar, so I'm assuming we're not.
Yeah.
No, we got another question. How do you guys train your the new members on your team? So this year you guys have that 12 new members, right? So how are you guys gonna or plan on training them?
So right now, like a couple days ago, we had them like choose 2 things that they were interested in doing, and we kind of between like mechanical and design and business and programming, I think.
And driving.
And driving, and like for 30 minutes we just taught them different things that they'll do and need to know to do those things. That's what we did for like training so far.
Yeah, and a lot of them, like when they're coming in, they may not know exactly what they want to do on the team. And so kind of giving them an overview of all of the different sort of sections of our team is good for them to see what they're interested in and what they may want to try first. And yeah, so it's just a good way to get them involved from early. Yeah.
All right.
Get another question. What do you guys think of odometry? So
Odometry good.
Odometry good? Have you guys
Odometry
done any
cool.
like design work? Have you tried it out yet?
Oh, and to answer Jake's question, we're not using the scheduler class.
okay.
So what we want to do this year is see how accurate it is without like specific omni wheels for odometry, and just like kind of remembering where the robot is, just as stored information on how much our motors have moved. But if that doesn't work, it might be worth it to do the odometry wheels.
Yeah. I think because you guys are just planning to do the math, right? With just how mechanism drives work.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's what we're planning on currently. But that's definitely subject to change.
It will be a bit rough with slip, I think.
I'd like to know your results.
Yeah. me too. I would like to hear.
Because I feel like it should be fine technically, right?
Yeah, like if there wasn't a thing like called slip, like I think it would be perfect.
If it was just in a perfect environment, it would be perfect.
Right.
Exactly.
And it would save a lot of space and all that good stuff.
Have you guys made any work on designing one? Or designing with an omni wheel?
Not yet. I think we're gonna like see how the game is and like what we might have to put on our robot, and then I think once we figure out sort of the general like how our robot is going to sort of be structured, then we'll see like if we have room to design one.
Okay.
Also, there's kind of like a speculation on our team that it's not going to be like a mechanism wheel dominated game this year.
I was thinking that too,
Interesting.
because it was a bit too much last year, I think.
It was crazy if you didn't use the mechanism wheel drive.
Haha, crazy. Only one at States. Okay, well, the I don't know. I guess everyone can see the name anyway. Jake Greenstein, Steen. I know how to say words. He asked if your guys are planning to spring load the odometry pods. I don't know if you guys have looked into the different designs of odometry
Yeah.
pods.
It seems like the spring-loaded kind of worked the best. So if we were going to incorporate it, it would probably be spring-loaded.
And another question we got from Amari was, how are you guys going to do outreach this year? I think you guys kind of answered this a bit.
Well, we want to be conscious that COVID's still happening, so we're trying to hold off on like in-person events. So we can do stuff like this, where it's like live streams, like Google Hangouts, Google Meets, whatever, at Zoom, or just like set up like other virtual type stuff, not necessarily like a live stream or a Q&A, just like a virtual meetup. Like, let me think. Last year we did Blaze Pizza, which was in person, but we could do something similar to that this year, except instead of being in person, it's online. Raise money for a good cause and stuff like that.
What about your big Go Baby Go project? Are you guys still planning on doing that this year? Like, is there a way that you might think about doing it?
As of now, yes, because inherently we don't need too many people working on that at the same time.
Yeah.
But we'll know more information as we get closer to the date.
Okay. I'm kind of moving into the outreach section thing. I don't know. I see that there are a couple other ones that you've kind of listed in a document. One that's called Mustard Seed. Could you explain what that is?
So last year we went to this place called the Mustard Seed organization. It might just be called Mustard Seed actually. But we helped with loading furniture into trucks to carry out to people who needed them. It's basically I don't know if they sell stuff at a really low cost or if they just if you're in need you can take it. I don't remember the exact details, but we helped with making sure they got to new homes where people who needed them could have them.
Okay. And I kind of asked about it before. Oh, yeah.
There's a question from Jake. So what is the best way to learn software?
Practice.
Yeah. That is a question that the internet has many answers to. So I guess I kind of learned from YouTube tutorials. So at least I learned Python. Java, I kind of just guessed and checked.
Sounds about right.
It's intellectually expected on what to do in Java for most things. Once you know like the very basics.
Yeah.
But like
once you know like the basics of every language, you can kind of translate most of it over.
You can guess around. But
Yeah.
I liked W3 schools. I thought they were pretty good.
Something that I'd also recommend is finding someone who does know what they're doing and just asking them every once in a while. Because having that one person that can help you out is also really nice.
Yeah, goes for CAD too.
Yeah.
It's like your own personal Stack Overflow.
I think it's not really necessary, but it turns like a 3-hour Google search into a 10-second "What is this?" like question.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're just like so far off the road that there's no hope for you.
And then you start over.
Yep.
Just start from scratch.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the outreach kind of part. I mentioned that you have the FLL team. I guess you guys call that Toxic Taco Tuesday, which is fun.
That was all them, but it's cool name.
And then you have a couple other events in here if you'd like to talk about them.
Yeah. Every year, a couple of the things we do is we go to a convention called ITSEC, which is basically a military technology convention with all these big companies. And there's always a FIRST robotics booth, and so we always volunteer to help out at the FIRST booth. And so we basically talk to people about FIRST robotics, and we get people involved and people who are interested. We kind of recommend them like sort of on the right path if they want to join a team or anything like that. So it's a really good way for us to help our community get involved in FIRST. And then we also, a similar thing that we do is Ultronicon, which is another convention for basically just STEM related things. And so there's a FIRST booth there too. We essentially do the same thing. So.
Yes.
One question that I had for you guys was, how do you guys decide who gets to be on Drive Team, or do you guys have like a process for deciding driver, operator, coach, things like that, human player?
Last year we just did like a Google form.
Yeah,
You just
and
signed
the
up?
nice thing about last year is that there were 4 applicants to the Google form, and they all wanted to do different things.
Oh,
So we just
So
kind
that
of
I guess that makes
I
sense.
remember
Nice.
2 years ago, the way we did it was everyone who was interested would like also do the Google form, but then we would test everybody out at the practice meet, and then however well they did, we would actually put them on Drive Team.
I think that's generally
Except-
what you should be doing, right?
The one
we didn't have
constant was that Corey was always the drive coach.
Great. Kind of a similar question, but how do you guys decide? Like you guys said, you had like the 12 new people, and you haven't really decided like which team they're technically on yet. How do you guys decide that?
It's generally like whatever fits better for them in terms of like what each team needs, and also just like the whole general vibe of the group.
Yeah, and like we said, we've been kind of hosting practices with them over the past week or so, and so through that we get to know them, and they really just become sort of a part of our practices. So we get to see who might be a good fit for which team, and so that really helps us kind of decide who we think might fit better.
Is there anything else that you'd like to ask Nitin? I don't know anything else.
I'm trying to think of design things.
You don't have to ask design things.
Nah, but I was just curious. I remember last year you guys had extreme, probably one of the fastest drivetrains. Was there any like, I know you guys wanted to do the feeder
Be
design.
zooming.
Yeah, zoom in. But was there any reason? Was there? Did you guys like do any calculations beforehand and or like testing out different ratios or?
I mean, our gear ratio was pretty fast, so that's probably the main reason why. And we just, I mean, when we did our design matrix, we knew that we wanted it to be fast because we knew that just judging by how everything was laid out on the field, we wanted something that could maneuver in different directions, so mechanical, and then maneuver fast too. So it was mostly just gear ratios and because we had custom pulleys and stuff, so we were able to do all those calculations.
We also used a calculator to measure how much you can pull from the batteries. So that was kind of like maxing out the battery.
Like the JVN
Could you
calculator?
give that calculator to us?
Yeah, I think it was that.
The JVN
okay.
calculator, okay.
Then, yeah, we can find that.
Yeah. It should be in Game Manual 0. If you know what that is. I can probably find the link.
Alright.
Hold up.
So I have a question for you guys.
Ooh.
So I know you're like you're a rookie team because you two are from Metamorphosis, right?
I was
I'm
on
from
Metamorphosis and
Macro.
he was on Mecra.
Right. Okay. So how do you like? How did you figure out who's going to be on your team from each like remnant of other teams?
Um, so I mean, it was just a small group of us who wanted to start this new team, and then from there we just kind of we had a couple siblings who wanted to like continue with their older siblings, so um, and then their
Yeah.
friends from middle school and they're on their um, prior first teams, I think FLL teams, and then we had a few friends from different schools who wouldn't have been able to join, so um, we basically maxed out our team from, with the friends and
Yeah.
basically created a
So
really small group with a circle.
I'd consider it just a couple siblings, and then like the like we had two siblings that kind of really like were the foundation of the team, I guess. Like two sibling groups, like four kids, and then from there we kind of just took the friends that were graduating up from middle school, and then a couple of the kids that we kind of knew we kind of vibed with, and we were like, "Yo, let's do this."
I have another question for you guys. Like, do you guys have any big outreach plans for this season, or that you know of, like from the past or anything?
So our big outreach, we have a couple that we're kind of like working on. One of the big ones is these live streams, and we have quite a few videos already up on our YouTube channel. So we're kind of doing that, especially because we can't like do many in-person things.
Yeah, that was one of the main reasons why we wanted to do
Hmm.
these live streams or tutorial videos, stuff like that, because it gives us a good platform online for other teams to use.
And we're also just trying to like establish ourselves, kind of, both in like the first community and in like getting professional connections. So that's another thing that we're kind of focusing on this year.
We have a few other like not miscellaneous, but like other outreach events that we've done. We
Yeah.
did this uh, what would you call it? Like a class essentially, an online class for um, through with a non-profit organization, and we did
Hmm.
those for three weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that was with bootbots,
yeah.
gotta flex that. Yeah.
And we got a question from chat from Jake. Uh, how are both of you guys meeting with COVID? I'll let you guys answer first.
Yeah.
So we're limited to 10 people per team, although if we can have less than that show up, then perfect. And then everyone who isn't in person will be on a Zoom screen, and then we just like check in with them, make sure they're doing what they have to do, etc., etc.
Hmm.
Yeah, same thing here. Since our build space is a lot smaller, it's just a room inside one of our houses. We we we're limiting it to like 4 to 5 kids, and then the rest of them, if they want to join in for that particular hardware programming, whatever it is, then you can zoom in. Um,
And because everything is kind of like there's no set scheduling technically, we're having it so that we kind of made like a scheduling. I wouldn't call it an app, but just something for kids to sign up for different times, so we know how many kids are coming and how many are going to be online, things like that. And then we have like one meeting on Sundays where everyone is kind of supposed to show up, and that's over Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we made a kickoff video that goes a bit more like high level stuff, but most of what we talked about is in there too. So it'll be air or
Posted soon.
in this live stream for the kickoff, or one of the like the Florida live stream or something.
Hmm.
I'm not sure yet.
Oh, what are you guys doing for kickoff?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like in terms of how we're organizing it,
Yeah, because it's a
more or
big
less the
event.
same structure, I think, because with kickoff, like it's a huge event, but it's since it's on a screen, there's like a huge capability to not have that many people show up.
Mhm.
So I think what we're trying to do is prioritize having new members come in so they can see what it's like in person or whatever, and then the returning members can just watch from home. So
Is there anything
What
that
are
you
you-
guys usually do like directly after watching the video?
Lunch, but I don't think we can do that this year.
Just have
What
to
about you
design.
guys? Yeah, that too.
Read the game
Oh,
manual. The good stuff.
Matrix
feel like I'm
views and stuff.
Game manual is very important.
Immediately figure out how you can cheat the game.
Yeah.
Find the
What about,
exploits.
What about you guys? What do you do after kickoff?
Well,
Usually we just discuss for like a couple
yeah.
hours. That's
so
usually
normally
it.
reading the game manual and then just discussing
Just
ideas
talking
or
it through.
yeah, talking it through. A lot of what you guys said with breaking down the points and stuff like that.
I look for holes in the game. Every time.
Loopholes.
He looks
so you
for
can
how
just
he
like,
can-
oh, hey.
They always say no, but you gotta find them first.
Before the forum says no.
Yeah.
We got another question from Amari. How do you guys split your in-person school kids and online school kids? So I think you guys are a private school, right? So
Yeah.
it works a little bit differently than public schools for you guys. So could you talk about
So we prioritize team leads to be at school, and then it's just on like a need to be there basis, more or less. So like if they need to work with the robot like hands on, then they come to school. If they need to do something for business, like do outreach stuff, they can go home and zoom in.
Also, we have some kids that are like at home this whole school year, like because they have higher risk people in their home, so they'll also just be on Zoom.
Yeah.
But we usually have like a designated person to walk them around.
that? So the most of your team is in-person school then.
Yeah, most of them.
Alright.
So what are you guys planning? Like, I know we talked about outreach, but like, what about like with the notebook and stuff? How are you planning to do that?
Right now we're kind of waiting on the
Yeah.
notebook because we're not sure if they're gonna change it up or anything. Like we've
Yeah.
heard rumors that they might change it, so we've done some of the basic like structuring of the notebook, but we haven't gone into like too detailed with it, just in case.
Yeah, especially as a rookie team, we're starting out with like a new format and everything. So
Cool.
getting that out of the ground was a bit of work, and then this whole engineering documentation kind of threw like a big
Threw us
question
for a loop.
mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you guys like organizing your team?
Could you say that again?
Lauren, you're frozen.
Yeah, she's frozen.
You're back.
Yeah.
Hello.
What?
We couldn't hear you. You kind of froze.
Um,
Like she froze again.
how are you guys like organizing your team this year?
Organizing. Okay.
So we didn't really want to like put too many labels, except for we have 2 co-captains, and then everyone else kind of like everyone who like was a veteran who came in kind of knows what they do. So we didn't really like say your notebook lead, your hardware lead, or anything like that. It's just kind of do the work that you know you're supposed to do, and then all the younger members help them out and
Learn as
help
they
them
go.
do what they want to do. Yeah.
I have another question for you guys. So, considering that like most of you are pretty much veterans and you guys seem to have a lot of experience with design, and also considering that it's probably gonna be a shooting game, do you guys like have any ideas already for like designs for a shooter or?
This is a
We
good
missed out
question.
on. I think everyone
Yeah,
now
all-
missed out on the last shooter game. So like
Yeah.
we kind of know, sort of,
Like we have
like
ideas
how it
from
works, but
we have ideas from past games, like looking at Velocity Vortex or any of the recent FRC games. I think are good inspiration as well. So we've gotten some ideas from those places and other robots as well, but we haven't made anything yet.
yeah,
Because a lot of that is game specific, I think.
I think our experience helps with like knowing inspirations rather than having the actual experience of building it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's be basketball.
Basketball?
Just
They already
guess.
did basketball.
Yeah.
They did FRC basketball.
It would
Well,
be
yeah,
interesting.
but they haven't done FTC basketball. I don't think.
Did they?
Like a sport that's a shooter game. I see the connection.
I'm pretty sure the official FTC Twitter account's been tweeting out some baseball stuff too, which is interesting.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's
But you can't play baseball. Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was confused. Like,
That sounds quite dangerous.
Swing a bat or something. That would be
Attach a bat and then make sure
Yeah.
that it doesn't count as a weapon. Like,
That would-
then you're fine.
BattleBots 20.
Coffee bean based
Yeah, exactly.
Hit the other robots.
Remember, but no coffee beans. We're not allowed to have those.
Oh yeah, no coffee.
You can have a baseball bat.
We don't do that.
But no coffee beans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, are you guys doing anything interesting software wise?
I mean, we started working on odometry. That's like our big project for the year. I think we're gonna start compiling a library for some of the younger members, and then hope that everything works. I think that those are the big two things.
Have you guys done any like off-season work so far?
Mainly recruiting.
Yeah, like recruiting, and some of us worked a little bit on different areas. Like some of us did a little bit of CAD, or like we tried to learn some design from some of our seniors who left. And I think Aiden might have done some programming or something. Maybe.
Just for fun.
Any questions? No.
No,
No.
none from chat. Anything else?
No, no.
I'm fresh out of questions.
Really at a standstill now.
Yeah. Trying to think of something.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd want the game to be?
The exact same game as last year or the year before.
Do you guys like to go with like the trend of the year, like the design
The
meta? Yeah.
Yeah, meta design.
We like to make the meta.
Yeah,
The meta.
we are the meta.
Yeah, it also just depends on the game. Because, like, for example, last year, after like we watched some of the matches in our earlier meets, we discovered that the meta was really like two kind of different approaches. So, like, really, the best strategy was to have one really good stacking robot and one really good shuttling robot. And so that's why we kind of changed our strategy a bit. Also, because our lift just didn't want to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
Like, for most of the time, we were actually working on two separate robots. So,
Okay.
like, half the team was working on the shuttling robot and half the team was working on the lifting robot.
So kind of, if you guys had to like go back and start the season over, knowing that, would you go make a better lift, or would you, or like in order to like actually stack, or would you stay with the feeding,
Make an easier lift.
make an easier lift?
Okay. What would you
Yeah.
say you learned from that lift, though?
I think the whole journey of Lyft just taught us that, like, probably don't go all custom because it's just not very reliable, and there's so many things that you have to get right that it's just easier to do like a combination, like I said earlier.
Yeah, complexity doesn't always equal, like,
Exactly.
better and better functioning.
Simpler is better because then
Simpler is
there's
better.
less moving parts and everything's just calmer. So
The thing I wanted
Looks
to
like
ask
we have a
about.
question from Nicholas
We have a
Johansson.
Oh.
I think we were all about it. Like, put that in.
Lift is
So-
great.
What I would really suggest is going to his CAD library and just
It's on our website, actually. If you go to Team Resources on the top menu, you can scroll down and see 10650, and there's our CAD library.
HazmatRobotics.com. Is that what it
can
is?
we
.us.
Can we link our web-
HazmatRobotics.us.
But yeah, your
Oh,
website's
nice.
in the description of the live stream, so anyone on the live stream right now
Thank
should
you.
be able to go. And
there we go, free advertising.
and even more advertising. We have our own CAD series for PTC Korea, because that's the CAD software that we use, and that's on
Oh,
this
yes.
YouTube page. So you should just be able to go to this YouTube page and find it.
Bro, we have 15 people watching. It's like decent.
That's like a decent percentage of the world.
Exactly.
I feel like
Sorry,
this is
that's
like half of your alum.
That's 1 in 500 million.
Wow.
That's pretty decent.
Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing I wanted to ask was, what what manufacturing capabilities do you have? Because you guys said you use custom parts. So how
Oh,
did you guys
Yeah.
do it?
So we either like 3D print or we can also CNC and laser cut. So we can use a lot of different materials. Like we've used polypropylene and acetal, and usually when we first build our drivetrain, we use wooden panels for like kind of like prototyping basically, and then we use the stronger materials. So we also last year we 3D printed these things that we made called Reflex Belts, which is basically like we
You
used
guys
it
use
for
the TPU, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So we were able to 3D print like flexible things basically, which is really good for us. So we were able to use that to intake our stones really well instead of using like compliant wheels and stuff. So that was probably one of our proudest accomplishments of last season actually.
Yeah, those were
yeah,
real pretty.
there it is.
To be honest, your design last year was like really clean.
Yeah,
Like looking at your robot, like the drivetrain was like really pretty, and then you had the wheels. It was nice. Yeah.
you had that little thing to put it on the foundation too, the stones.
And we had hydro dipped controllers.
You spent like 2 practices doing that.
Yeah, they were beautiful though.
Do I remember seeing those?
I don't
my
know. I
God.
don't think we really should.
I remember you guys had like
It
this
was so cool.
fancy, what do you call it? Like a driver station board. It was
Yeah. We seriously considered making it like magnetic so it'd stick to our cart, but then we were like, oh, that might not work well. With like
You had to like
electronics
pry
on it.
it up every time. Oh. That too.
That's
That
the
is,
thing that
yeah.
Corey wore, right? Like the little like overalls thing. Was it overalls? It looked like those, right? Like it had like a belt too?
It did not have belts, but Corey held it like it should.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't think so, unless the chat has any more questions, but it doesn't seem like they do.
Corey said he did not wear overalls.
Thank you, Corey.
You can do a modification to it now. Put belts on it so that they don't have to just hold it for 2.5 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are we good?
if you don't have anything else, I think we can go ahead and wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm good.
Alright, I think we
Yeah,
all
your
had a
turn.
fun yeah, sure. I think we all had a fun time, so thanks you guys watching on the stream. And we'll see you in the next live stream. Thanks for guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
For having us.
Wow, look at that telepathy.
We finish each
No?
other's sentences, yeah.
Okay.
Alright,
All right.
go ahead.
Goodbye.
and
Bye.
go.
Alright,
See
cool.
ya.
Bye.
Bye.